if you're like me at this point, you are extremely vitamin D deficient. You are grumpy, you are angry, and so therefore we decided to put on a happy program for you about homelessness services in our community today. Really pick everybody's spirits up.
Well, there's nothing like starting what often feels like a stuffy presentation with some humor. That was the head of the Portland Metro Chamber kicking things off this morning in a forum focused on the future of the region's money spent on homeless services. Okay, we talk a lot about this topic on our show, and before we get into it tonight, I want to address those of you sitting on your couch right now, rolling your eyes or grabbing the remote to change the channel because you're just sick of hearing about homelessness. Look, I get it. But what I also get is that homelessness is not getting any better, and it's not going to unless we have these conversations and dig into the data and try and understand its complexities. Because if I've learned anything in my years reporting on this crisis, there is no one right answer to fix it. And that was one of the main points of today's discussion.
You look at the headline, homelessness is a housing problem. Now, some of you are going to come right back at me and you say, well, wait a minute, there's so many personal circumstances going on here. You've got drug addiction, you have behavioral health, you've got a whole host of other personal issues that those who are experiencing homelessness are facing.
All right, that was Senior Policy Advisor John Tapania. He works at Eco Northwest and focuses on economic development, housing, and social policy. Today, he shared his analysis of the controversial tax that gets a lot of attention, the Supportive Housing Services Tax, or SHS. It's money collected by regional government Metro meant to address homelessness. Now, here's where it gets a little dense. In 2022, 15 million of those collected taxpayer dollars were spent. And in 2024, so last year, that amount grew to $255 million. This tax now funds nearly half of all our region's homeless services, according to the Portland Metro Chamber. Now, for those of you who don't know, only a portion of the population pays this tax, about 70,000 households across Multnomah, Clackamas, and Washington counties. And it breaks down like this. Take a look. It's a 1% tax on income above $125,000 for individuals and income above $200,000 for couples filing jointly. There's also a 1% tax on some businesses. But back to today's presentation. The report looked at how much of this tax money has been collected, how much has been spent, and what services have been created, seeing as we're about halfway through the life of the tax. It's set to expire in 2031, and there are questions about what to do next.
And a critical decision lies ahead. All of you will have to be considering this. Should we extend and refine this investment beyond 2031, which is when the measure is set to expire, or begin to prepare to scale it down?
Back in 2020, when the measure was first passed by voters, there were some promises Metro made, some 10-year goals. Those included connecting at least 5,000 households experiencing homelessness to permanent supportive housing and stabilizing at least 10,000 households at risk of or experiencing homelessness. Metro says they've surpassed or are close to reaching those goals already. But the future of the tax and the amount of money it's expected to bring in the next few years is not looking great.
I would call it maybe call it the fiscal valley of death, where you got this big surge at the beginning because of the capital gains and all the delayed payments, et cetera. They sort of surge up, and now all of a sudden it's sort of normalizing, and so for collections it's flattened out. It's going to flatten out until 2026, and then starts to get into a normal cadence again and grows with incomes in the population.
But that low forecasting, or fiscal valley of death, as he put it, has been a point of contention. Many call this tax volatile, including Multnomah County leaders. In years past, Eco Northwest initially predicted the tax would bring in $250 million annually. But this graph from today's presentation shows how much it has varied. In the first full year it was collected, fiscal year 2023, it far outperformed that estimate at more than $340 million, and it was close to doing that the following year too.
Yet another echo under projection. We did.
You're at least consistent.
Yeah, we did that with PCEF as well.
Okay, they laugh, but those under projections for how much money this tax will bring in are already being felt here in Multnomah County. It is a big reason the county chair is saying that major cuts could be coming to homeless services, sparking anxiety for many frontline providers. We'll have a story on one of those providers tomorrow night. The county's homeless department is facing a budget gap in the neighborhood of $100 million, closer to $70 million if they don't put money in a rainy day fund. But they blame much of this shortfall on the prediction that they will get less money from Metro's supportive housing services tax. But policy advisors countered that today and said it's more a money management issue.
But that creates sort of the management challenges, especially ones like you've seen Multnomah County challenge with. They had a bunch of carryover money from years in the past, dug into a fair bit of it apparently in this current fiscal year, and now that growth is not there in the future.
We learned today Multnomah County's auditor is conducting an audit on how the county has been using these SHS dollars from Metro. More to come on that for sure. I also caught up with Metro President Lynn Peterson this morning, and here's what she had to say about this report.
I thought it made it very clear that while we have met all the goals of our regional program, it still isn't enough.
Now, President Peterson has been pushing to make changes to the SHS tax, which includes slightly lowering the tax rate, allowing the tax revenue to be used to build affordable housing, and perhaps most importantly, extending the tax by 2 decades to 2050, far beyond its current expiration date of 2031.
It is the majority of the money in the system now, and we are also seeing federal money looking like it might be completely reduced or not coming into the region at all. So our dependence on this source is going to increase, which of course leads to, so what do we do in 5 years?
So my follow-up question for her, why extend the tax when its forecasted future looks, for a lack of a better word, grim?
Obviously, as we're heading into hard economic times in this region, both just from the overall economy of the United States, but also locally, combined with the people are leaving Portland proper. They're going to the suburbs, they're going to the rest of the state, or they're leaving the state completely. We're going to see those two variables really have an impact on the amount of money coming in. But having at least a sustained, consistent amount of money in the program will help in the long run. So it's better than having nothing.
And President Peterson's proposal for SHS tax reform was potentially going to be on the ballot this spring for voters to decide on its future, but that's not happening. There's a chance the proposal is ready for the November election, which will no doubt be a crucial vote on the future of homeless spending in the region. So, if that proposal was on the table today, would you vote to extend the SHS tax to 2050 while slightly lowering the tax rate, or let the current SHS tax expire in 2031? Let us know and explain why you would vote whichever way you're feeling. Email us at thestory@kgw.com or call us and leave a voicemail, 503-226-5090.